Hi guys, how are you? So I just wanted to come on here and let you know that I will be attending the march held in Hardin, Montana on February 14th. That is actually my son's 3rd birthday, and I figured it would be so fun if we went and marched for missing murdered Indigenous women. I'm doing a video on Kaysera stops pretty places, and as you guys know, Selena Not Afraid. And the march, I'm pretty sure, is just to raise awareness of the sketchiness surrounding Native girls going missing and the lack of police work being done about it. I was completely shocked on this case with Kaysera. Just the police was just disgusting in this case, and it's just really hard to watch. And I'm very happy that I have this platform and that I can give these girls a voice and I can keep their name out there, because when I was researching Kaysera, there was like maybe one video on YouTube about her, and that is just not fair. This girl is so close to Selena Not Afraid. She's part of the Crow Nation, and it's just very important that you guys take a look at these cases, look at the similarities, because there are a lot of similarities, especially with the police work being done, and you guys can start to see a pattern. You can start to see what is a pattern in today's society with these girls going missing, the family not getting a lot of information, the cops not really involving them whatsoever. And in this case in Kaysera, the cops didn't even involve any of her family when she went missing, which I feel like when people go missing, they always start to question the family first, the last people to see her and stuff. But in this case, they didn't even bother to interview any of the family, and that's just really frustrating. So today's case we're doing this on is Kaysera Stops Pretty Places, and this girl was so beautiful. She was 18 years old. She was a member of the Crow Nation in Montana. She was so close to graduating high school. These girls should not have had anything happen to them. They hadn't even graduated high school yet. Can you imagine? Kaysera was very athletic. She played basketball, she ran track. As I said before, very similar to Selena. She was athletic. She was in sports. In high school, she was in choir, speech, and drama club, and performed in several theater productions. And I can relate to this because I used to do theater when I was in high school. Her being involved in that just explains a lot about her character and just her personality in general. I love that she was in theater in high school. I just think that is so awesome. It's a great experience. You get to meet lots of people. You get to be in a judge-free environment. I highly recommend you guys, if you are in high school, to join an extracurricular club, because it is just such a great support and such a great way to get to know people, especially in high school, because high school can be vicious in and of itself. Her grandmother, Yolanda Fraser, said she's very loved. She mattered. Her life was worth everything. She was so young and beautiful. She had so much ahead of her, so much potential. At the time of August 24th, 2019, Kaysera was living with her grandmother, and that night in particular, she didn't come home. She had plans the next day to be visiting family with her mom down in North Dakota, and when the next day came around and she didn't go and meet her mom, it definitely raised a lot of red flags, especially since she did not come home the night before. What was even more concerning is that Kaysera wasn't on any social media since the night before. And if you guys know, when you're in high school, you're basically always on social media. So it was definitely out of the ordinary that she did not post anything, and then she didn't come home and she didn't go and meet her mom the next day. Her family waited a couple days just to see if she would come home or what was going on, and they ended up reporting her missing on August 27th. And I think they were just hoping that she would come home. You know, they didn't want to make it into too big of a deal. I can understand this as a parent, just not, once you make that missing person report, it definitely becomes more real, and it's kind of set in that your kid may be missing. So I feel like they were just in a point of denial. You know, it's very possible that they could have just been extremely in denial and just expecting her to come home, or just, you know, hanging out as a teenager. That's what's so hard about this time frame, like 18 years old. You never really know. She's technically an adult, but she's still living with her grandma, so I think she just wanted to give her some space, but at the same time they were very worried. On August 29th, her body was discovered by a jogger in the backyard of some man's house named Stephen Schaff. So let me get this straight. This girl went missing on August 24th. Her parents reported her missing on August 27th, and August 29th, a jogger was just jogging probably through an alley. I know in Montana there's alleys back behind houses, jogging through an alley and saw this girl's body like basically against the fence of some dude's backyard. The craziest part about this is that her family wasn't even notified until September 11th when her body was identified, and they found her on the 27th of August. So they spent the next 2 weeks thinking that she was still alive when the entire time her body had already been discovered by police. From that point, the family said that the contact with local authorities and investigators and the county coroner was very limited. The family even felt like the coroners and investigators thought that her death was not suspicious, and they suggested that she cremated her. So they weren't even going to do a thorough investigation on this. A girl just ends up dead in an alley behind someone's backyard, and it's just not suspicious whatsoever. And they basically were just like, you should get her cremated. Keep in mind, this girl's 18 years old. After a memorial march in September, it finally took attorney from Bighorn County of the missing murdered persons to come in and rule this case as suspicious and take it over in his task force. This is why marching is so important, especially if you want something to be done about a case. That's why I strongly urge you guys to come to Hardin, Montana and march with us on February 14th, because this just goes to show that it can really make a difference, especially if a death is ruled as an accidental or not suspicious. Marching and letting them know that something is up here, something doesn't add up, for someone else to take a second look is so crucial. So it is said that investigators haven't even investigated the person that found her or the guy's house that she was found behind, whether Steve Schaff, what his whereabouts were the day she went missing, the couple days following. It is a little sketchy that she was placed basically in his backyard. But if he did commit this crime, I wouldn't think he would put it right on his yard, because it just looks so obvious. But basically, 18-year-olds don't just go missing and die of natural causes in someone's backyard in a wood pile. That just does not happen. And for this case to be ruled as not suspicious is just really strange. Like, it's just so frustrating. I can't. Upon research, there is not much about Stephen Schaff. I guess he was supposedly out of town when her body was found and his son had to notify him, but we can't really prove this. So that's just what their story is. And this guy has also claimed that the authorities haven't given him much information. They haven't ruled people as suspects. And hopefully they're just keeping this, you know, hush hush so they can do their own investigation. And they are investigating this, but you just never really know. So the entire way that this case was handled was just really lazy. I guess when her family went to go see the spot where she was found, they couldn't even find it because it hadn't even been marked off with crime tape or anything. It wasn't even an investigation, really. They literally just went, found an 18-year-old girl's body in someone's backyard in a wood pile, and didn't even tape it off. And the other sad thing is that her body was cremated, so the coroner who did that is basically the last proof of medical advice of what happened to this girl. His autopsy report is it, because her body was cremated upon suggestion from them. They were like, you need to cremate her. Like, basically, we did our autopsy, we think this is not suspicious, we think she died of natural causes, and now you need to cremate her. So any future evidence can't be extracted and a second opinion can't be given because she is cremated. It's just super frustrating. I really hope that the missing persons task force takes a second look at this. Hopefully the autopsy can shed some light on this case and give us more answers. I really hope they investigate it more. They get the whereabouts of the person's house. It was the jogger who found her. Anyone that has seen anyone in that neighborhood, just get more answers out. If you guys, you know, live in this area or happen to think, you know something or anything, I will leave the numbers down below for where you can call and give any information. Most of the time you can give it anonymously, so don't be worried about, you know, snitching. Any tips can help this family because someone had to see something out of the ordinary. This is a young girl's life. She didn't even get to graduate high school before she ended up dead in an alley. So if that doesn't show you how big this epidemic is with missing murdered Indigenous women, I don't know what does. The fact that her family didn't even know for 2 weeks that their daughter was already in a coroner is just disturbing in and of itself. These cases just get treated like they don't happen or they're not important, or they just get ruled out as accidental or, you know, not suspicious, not a homicide. They rarely get investigated for a homicide, and I hope it does get a thorough homicide investigation. I know the FBI wasn't involved in this case, and the saddest part is her body was found 5 miles off the reservation. So basically it was up to Montana authorities to take it over, and they basically were going back and forth with the reservation on who's responsible for her because she was 5 miles off the reservation. But the funny thing is, most of the crimes that happen to Native American women are done by non-Native American people, and the Native American officials have no jurisdiction or authority over non-natives. They only have jurisdiction over their people. But people can come onto the reservation and do basically whatever, and the Native cops can't do anything to them. If that's not so messed up, that would be like Native people being able to go to the US and do whatever they want with no consequences. Only from their reservation can they get in trouble. So that's how it is for these Native people. So most of these crimes are committed by non-natives, and the Native American police and investigators can't do anything because it's a non-native. So they have to fight with the FBI and with local police to do something about their people that most of the time they act like they don't really need to do anything because it's not their people. It's just such a divide. I don't understand why Native officials aren't allowed to have jurisdiction when it comes to homicides, missing people, murders, especially if the police are just going to brush it off like it's not that big of a deal and wait 2 weeks to tell a family that their daughter's even dead. It's just very, very frustrating. So I really hope that if you guys know anything, you give your information. This family needs answers, and we definitely need everyone at that march, just so these cases can be reopened and the heat can be on the investigators to get answers, because we're not just going to be quiet. We're not just going to forget about these girls. We're going to keep fighting until justice is served for them. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I see you guys on the 14th in Hardin, Montana. I will leave the address down below for that if you guys are interested. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.